You sit down for dinner feeling like you're doing the right thing. Nothing heavy, nothing greasy, just a simple meal with vegetables. The kind doctors have recommended for decades. You go to bed calm, confident you made a smart choice for your health. But the next morning feels a little off. Your head feels heavy. Your balance isn't quite right. Your thinking feels slower than usual. Nothing dramatic, just enough to notice. Most people brush it off and blame sleep, stress, or age. But what if it isn't normal? What if the issue wasn't sugar, salt, or fried food at all, but a vegetable you ate the night before? That idea sounds wrong. Vegetables are supposed to protect your heart and brain. And most of the time, they do. But after 60, the body follows different rules. Hydration changes. Circulation slows. Kidneys filter more slowly. Medications interact differently. And at night, when the body rests, those changes quietly add up. In this video, I'll explain why certain common vegetables, especially when eaten at night, can quietly raise stroke risk in seniors, and how to avoid that risk without giving up healthy foods. Stay with me, because the final one on this list is something many people eat every week, often right before bed. Let's start with number 9, raw carrots. They seem harmless. Crunchy, low in calories, easy to grab in the evening. Many seniors reach for them at night thinking they're making a smart, blood sugar-friendly choice. Compared to cookies or chips, they feel safe. Here's where that belief starts to break down. Raw carrots digest faster than most people realize. Once you chew them, their natural sugars are released quickly into the bloodstream. In a younger body, that rise is handled smoothly. But after 60, insulin response slows, and blood sugar control becomes less stable, especially later in the day. At night, this matters more. A quick rise in blood sugar can be followed by a drop while you're asleep. When blood sugar dips overnight, the body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Those hormones tighten blood vessels and raise blood pressure at the exact time your circulation should be calm and relaxed. That combination can leave you waking up with a heavy head, poor balance, or mental fog. In some people, it can also thicken the blood and increase the chance of small clots forming while they sleep. This doesn't mean carrots are bad. They're still rich in nutrients and protective compounds. The issue is timing, not the food itself. If you enjoy raw carrots, eat them earlier in the day. Pair them with protein or healthy fat, like hummus, nuts, or yogurt, to slow sugar absorption into the bloodstream. And avoid eating them alone late at night. Raw carrots can support your health when used correctly. But eaten the wrong way, they can quietly work against your brain while you sleep. And the next vegetable on this list creates an even subtler overnight risk, especially for people taking common medications. Number 8, spinach. It has one of the strongest health reputations of any vegetable. It's praised for iron, magnesium, and antioxidants that support the heart and brain. For many people, a plate of greens at dinner feels like a safe, responsible choice, and most of the time, it is. The issue isn't spinach itself. It's how the body handles it as circulation, filtration, and mineral balance gradually change. Spinach is naturally high in oxalates, compounds that bind to minerals like calcium. Earlier on, the kidneys clear them efficiently. Over time, clearance slows, blood vessels become less flexible, and many people add calcium or vitamin D supplements without realizing how the combination behaves. At night, those factors can quietly overlap. Circulation slows during sleep. Blood moves more sluggishly through smaller vessels. When oxalates and calcium circulate together in that window, they don't move as freely. Oxygen delivery to the brain can dip just enough to matter, without triggering any obvious alarm. Most people never feel a clear warning sign. Instead, they wake up with dull headaches, pressure behind the eyes, or a sense that their thinking isn't as sharp as it should be. Repeated night after night, this kind of slowdown can quietly add strain to circulation. Spinach isn't dangerous. It's still a nutrient-dense food with real benefits. The issue isn't the vegetable, it's timing and repetition. The safer approach is simple. Eat spinach earlier in the day. Avoid pairing large servings with calcium supplements at night. And rotate your greens instead of relying on spinach evening after evening. What follows isn't about minerals at all. It's about how certain vegetables quietly interfere with medications many people rely on every day. Number 7. Broccoli. Broccoli has a strong health reputation. It's linked to heart protection, lower inflammation, and better digestion. For many people, adding broccoli to dinner feels like an easy, responsible choice. It's familiar. It's trusted. Almost no one questions it. The issue isn't broccoli itself. It's how one of its nutrients behaves in certain bodies. Broccoli is naturally high in vitamin K, which helps blood clot properly. That's important. But vitamin K also interacts directly with medications that affect circulation. Many people take blood thinners, daily aspirin, or heart medications meant to keep blood flowing smoothly. These drugs rely on balance. When vitamin K intake changes suddenly, especially in the evening, that balance can quietly shift without any obvious warning. At night, circulation naturally slows and hydration drops. Blood moves more sluggishly through vessels that aren't as flexible as they used to be. In that window, even small changes in clotting behavior can matter more than expected. The signs are subtle. You might wake up with pressure in the head, unusual fatigue, or a sense that your body didn't fully settle overnight. Most people never connect those feelings to a vegetable they ate for dinner. This pattern becomes more relevant after 60, when medications are more common and the margin for error is smaller. Broccoli doesn't need to be avoided. It's still highly nutritious. The safer approach is consistency and timing. Keep portions steady. Avoid large servings late at night. And let your doctor know if vitamin K-rich foods are part of your regular routine. What comes next doesn't affect clotting at all. It affects something even more fragile overnight: hydration. Number 6. Lettuce and diuretic greens. It often feels like the safest thing you could eat at dinner. A small salad feels clean, gentle, and easy on the stomach. Many people choose it specifically because they want something light before bed. That's exactly why this mistake is so easy to miss. These greens act as natural diuretics. They signal the body to release water. During the day, that's rarely a problem. You're moving. You're drinking fluids. Circulation stays active. The body adjusts without effort. At night, the situation changes. You're not replacing fluids. Thirst signals are weaker. Blood volume slowly drops while you sleep. As water leaves the body, the blood becomes thicker and moves more slowly through small vessels. The brain feels this first. Oxygen delivery dips just enough to matter. Not enough to trigger alarms, but enough to affect how you feel in the morning. You wake up groggy, slightly unsteady. Your head feels tight. Your thinking feels slower than it should. Most people blame sleep quality and move on, never realizing hydration was quietly working against them overnight. These greens aren't the problem. Timing is. They still support digestion and heart health when used correctly. The safer approach is simple. Eat diuretic greens earlier in the day, when hydration and circulation are stronger. If you choose them in the evening, drink a small glass of water alongside the meal. Avoid stacking them with other dehydrating foods or medications at night. Used at the right time, leafy greens keep the body light. Used at the wrong time, they quietly thicken the blood while you sleep. And this is still mild compared to foods that actively lower blood pressure when your brain needs it most. Number 5. Asparagus. This is often chosen when people want something light and clean at dinner. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't spike blood sugar. It feels like a safe way to eat well before bed. That sense of safety is what makes the mistake easy to miss. Asparagus acts as a natural diuretic. It signals the body to release water and electrolytes. During the day, that effect is usually harmless. You're moving, drinking fluids, and circulation stays active enough to compensate. At night, the same effect can quietly work against you. Fluid loss isn't replaced. Blood volume drops as you sleep. Circulation slows, and blood pressure can dip lower than expected. The brain, which depends on steady flow overnight, feels that change first. The signals are subtle. You wake up feeling drained instead of rested. Slight dizziness when standing. A sense that your energy or focus didn't fully return. Most people never suspect the vegetable they ate with dinner. This shift becomes more noticeable after 60, when fluid balance is more fragile and recovery takes longer. Asparagus isn't something you need to avoid. It's still rich in vitamins and protective compounds. The issue is timing, not the food itself. The safer approach is simple. Enjoy asparagus earlier in the day, when hydration and circulation are stronger. If you eat it in the evening, pair it with fluids and avoid stacking it with other foods or medications that lower blood pressure. Used at the right time, it supports health. Used late at night, it can quietly leave the brain undersupplied while you sleep. What follows doesn't affect fluids at all. It works directly on blood vessels, and that's where risk escalates. Number 4. Onions. They're a kitchen staple, added for flavor, depth, and aroma. Many people use them generously at dinner without thinking twice, especially in home-cooked meals that feel simple and wholesome. The concern isn't the vegetable itself, it's how it affects blood vessels later in the day. Onions contain natural compounds that relax blood vessels and lower pressure. During the daytime, that effect is usually helpful, but in the evening, when circulation is already slowing, it can become less predictable. For people taking blood pressure medication or blood thinners, that effect can stack quietly. Blood pressure may dip a little too low overnight. Blood flow to the brain becomes less steady. You may not feel anything dramatic, just lightheadedness, fatigue, or a dull sense of imbalance the next morning. Raw forms tend to amplify this effect. They're absorbed more quickly and act more strongly on circulation. Large portions late in the day can also interfere with the body's natural overnight rhythm, when blood flow should stay stable and controlled. This doesn't make onions unhealthy. They still provide antioxidants and support heart health. The key is moderation and timing. Using them for flavor rather than volume, cooking them gently, and avoiding heavy onion-based meals late at night all make a difference. Used thoughtfully, they support circulation. Used carelessly in the evening, they can quietly work against it while you sleep. The next mistake doesn't change pressure at all. It alters blood chemistry, and that's much harder to feel when it's happening. Number 3. Tomatoes. Often seen as the definition of healthy eating, they show up everywhere. Fresh, light, refreshing. Added to dinner almost automatically, especially in salads or simple evening meals that feel clean and balanced. The concern isn't nutrition, it's how the body responds later in the day. As nighttime approaches and circulation naturally slows, certain compounds can affect blood vessels and nerve signaling in subtle ways. For some people, that shows up as morning headaches, lightheadedness, or a lingering sense of mental fog. Acidity plays a role as well. When eaten late, acidic foods can interfere with mineral balance, including magnesium and calcium. Those minerals help keep blood flow steady and nerves calm overnight. When that balance shifts, circulation becomes less stable at a time when the brain should be resting. This doesn't make tomatoes unhealthy. Valuable antioxidants are still there. Preparation and timing simply matter more. Cooked forms tend to be easier on the system, and earlier meals give the body time to adjust. Eaten late at night, however, they can quietly add strain to circulation that isn't noticed until the next morning. The focus shifts with the next one. Here, the issue isn't acidity or timing, but how certain foods interact with blood-thinning effects and common supplements. Number 2, garlic, ginger, and turmeric in high doses. Many people turn to these three for protection. They're seen as natural medicine, something safer than pills. Garlic for the heart, ginger for circulation, turmeric for inflammation. Taken together, they feel like a smart nightly habit. The problem isn't the foods themselves, it's the dose and the form. In normal cooking amounts, these ingredients are gentle. But in concentrated forms, capsules, extracts, powders, or large raw servings, they act very differently. They actively thin the blood, relax vessels, and change how platelets behave. During the day, the body usually absorbs and balances those effects without much issue. You're moving, you're hydrated. Blood flow stays responsive. At night, the margin narrows, circulation slows. Blood pressure naturally drops. When strong blood-thinning compounds are added on top of that, blood can become too thin or too unstable while you sleep. For people also taking aspirin or prescription blood thinners, the overlap becomes even harder to feel, until it matters. The signals are subtle: easy bruising, lightheadedness in the morning, a feeling of weakness or fatigue that doesn't match your sleep. Some people notice headaches that feel different than usual. Most never suspect a natural supplement they take before bed. These foods aren't dangerous. In fact, they're powerful allies when used correctly. The issue is treating them like harmless bedtime vitamins. The safer approach is restraint and timing. Use garlic, ginger, and turmeric in food, not high-dose supplements, unless guided by a professional. Avoid taking concentrated forms late in the evening, and never stack them casually with blood-thinning medications. Used with respect, they protect the heart. Used carelessly at night, they can quietly push the blood past a safe balance while the body is at rest. And the final item on this list is the one almost no one expects, because it doesn't taste strong, feel medicinal, or raise suspicion at all. Number 1, processed vegetables high in phosphates. These don't look dangerous. They don't taste overly salty. They don't feel indulgent. They often show up as canned, frozen, or packaged vegetables that promise convenience and consistency. For many people, they feel like the easiest way to eat healthy without extra work. That's exactly why this mistake slips through unnoticed. To extend shelf life and improve texture, many processed vegetables contain added phosphates. These compounds don't announce themselves. You won't feel them hit your system, but inside the body, they quietly disrupt mineral balance, especially calcium and magnesium. Two minerals the brain and blood vessels depend on for stability. During the day, the body can often buffer that disruption. You're eating other foods, you're hydrated. Circulation stays responsive enough to compensate. At night, the margin disappears. Blood flow slows. Repair processes take over. When phosphate levels rise during that window, calcium can be pulled out of circulation and pushed into places it doesn't belong, including vessel walls. Blood vessels become stiffer. Blood chemistry shifts in ways you can't feel as they happen. The signals come later. Morning headaches that don't fully lift. Stiffness in the neck or jaw. Brain fog that lingers longer than it should. Over time, repeated exposure adds quiet strain to circulation when the brain is supposed to be recovering. These foods aren't poison. The issue is frequency and timing. Eating them occasionally isn't the problem. Relying on them regularly, especially in the evening, is where risk builds. The safer approach is awareness. Read labels. Watch for added phosphates. Choose fresh or minimally processed vegetables when possible, and keep packaged options earlier in the day. Balance meals with mineral-rich whole foods instead of stacking convenience items at night. This is the one many people miss, not because it feels unhealthy, but because it feels harmless. If you've made it this far, you've already avoided a mistake most people never realize they're making. And that awareness alone can protect your clarity, balance, and independence for years to come. If there's one takeaway from this list, it's not fear. It's awareness. Vegetables aren't the enemy. Most of the foods you've heard about today are still healthy, protective, and worth eating. The mistake isn't what's on the plate. It's when, how much, and what those foods are paired with, especially at night, when the body is trying to slow down, repair, and reset. While you sleep, circulation shifts, hydration drops, blood pressure changes, medications and supplements behave differently. Small choices that feel harmless during the day can quietly stack up overnight, affecting blood flow to the brain when it matters most. The good news is that none of this requires extreme rules. You don't need to cut foods out of your life. You just need to adjust timing, be more intentional, and stop assuming that light dinners are automatically safe. That kind of awareness protects more than health markers. It protects balance, clarity, and confidence. The ability to wake up feeling steady and in control. If this video made you rethink even one habit, let me know in the comments. Which food surprised you the most? And have you ever noticed feeling off in the morning after a healthy dinner? If you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone who eats carefully but still wakes up feeling foggy or unsteady. Small shifts like these can quietly protect independence for the years ahead. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay aware, and take care of your brain, especially at night.